Hello again, everyone. This is Joe Henches with Beyond the Chart, and this is technical analysis of the stock market today. Today is Wednesday, September 17th, 2014. We're going to take a look at the markets as we usually do, and BRIC countries, and then take a look at 4 Chinese stocks: BIDU, Jinko Solar, KNDI and SINA. Okay, we're going to start off with the Dow, and I'm just making a note here to myself about Brazil, Russia, India, and China, or I will forget. Okay. All right, so the Dow was up 24.8 points today. It was up a lot higher than that, and then just sold off. It was pushing, and I can't remember, I think this was prior to the Fed release and the Fed announcement that came out. So you've got kind of a doji bar, kind of an indecision type bar right in the middle of the trading today. But it is a new all-time high, I think, for the Dow. I believe it is. Let's see here, 17,138. Yes, it is. Okay, but we are getting divergence on the RSI. So it's not confirming it. Kind of like over here when it didn't confirm it. Now, that's just one indicator, although the DI plus, which crossed, did not move higher like that. Now, the demand index, all same way, but it's not as clear as the RSI is. Okay, so let's get back to the Dow. Kind of interesting. Take a look at the S&P 500, a very similar type action. Not quite as strong, not closing at a new all-time high, although, and even intraday, we did not push above that point. Looks like we're getting the 10 below the 21 just slightly. Yes, we are. I'm looking at my data over here. That's off the screen. Just barely, but it's really kind of overlapping. Let's take a look at the indicators real quick. Same type story. Remember we were getting a little flat in here, and I don't know, I'm a little suspicious. Though that's the other thing I was going to mention. Remember we talked about the Thursday, Friday low prior to options expiration? Well, that's worked out just like a charm in here. Although, honestly, I mean, that's great if you're playing the market specifically or playing, SPY. That's nice. And I'm sure it could help you. But, you got to play individual stocks. I mean, Valero's still pushing to the downside. And it sure didn't help me on Melco Crown Entertainment, when the market went up, has gone up, and it went down. So that didn't matter. NASDAQ, 2-day little rally in here. Again, not pushing higher. Right in here again, kind of an indecision type day. Now, we're right on the eve of this whole Scotland vote tomorrow for independence. And honestly, I don't really, and I'm not sure a whole lot of people know what does it really mean for the market, except for the fact that I think it's a lot of uncertainty. Okay, I've heard stories about banks leaving Scotland and relocating into even RBS, the Royal Bank of Scotland. At least that's what they call themselves. Not sure it's actually, I don't know, what their true bank charter is, but they're talking about leaving Scotland. So anyway, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out and if the vote for independence does go through. The New York Composite, now here we're getting this break pretty clear of the 10 breaking below the 21. Now it's just a couple of days. I'd like to see, to confirm this, you need to get trading back down below the 10 again. Because we're a couple of days closing slightly above this. But you see back in July how it kind of did this also, as it broke below it, then traded a little bit above it, and then rolled over. So we need to watch this pretty carefully. And given that some of the indicator, or that short-term trading index, which we'll talk about here in a second, now the Russell 2000 is doing the same thing. And I mentioned this on Monday, that we're getting the break of the moving averages crossing. So those are let's take a look at the short-term trading index. Okay. I mentioned this on Monday that we were now down below the red line, below 0.9, and we had a reading of 0.88. Well, then yesterday we got a reading of 0.84, and today we're back at 0.87. Okay, so 0.84 is a pretty extreme reading. Okay, we haven't had a 0.84 since December 21st, which this whole little move in here is set up before the whole rollover sell-off in mid-January. Okay, and back had 0.83 on November 15th, and then September 11th we had a 0.84 also back here on September 11th. So you look at those days, we definitely had some selling that occurred, after those kind of a peak. So December 27th was right in here. That's when we got the last 0.84 reading, extreme reading on short-term trading index prior to the rollover. We had one in November. I think it was somewhere around in here prior to, again, it was, about a week or so, maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks prior to this little sell-off. And then September 11th, again, it was about a week ahead of the peak. So sometimes it's a week ahead. We had extreme readings around August 1st, mid-July, before this sell-off. So we're getting that now. So that's the point. So, I talked about on Saturday, caution flags are out. I talked about that because I saw some compression of the weekly trading ranges, okay? And then the close on Friday. Now, we've, granted, the way the trading's been on the Dow, here we are. Yeah, great. We closed Friday right here on the lowest close of the last 4 weeks. And then we turn around and we rally up like this. But the week's not over. And I've noticed on some of these, although you get this rally off the low on the the low from Thursday, Friday prior to options expiration, sometimes that peak out seems to happen on Wednesday. So it's going to be interesting to see what we get tomorrow and Friday going into the close on the week. The VIX, huge range today on the VIX on the volatility in here, and closed back down. Well, it was down slightly, 0.08, almost unchanged. So again, not sure what to make of that. No clear signal that I can see. High-low indexes bounced back above zero. So now we had slightly more, 22 more new highs than new lows for the day. So not a big, but not a big move, but it's definitely pushed back up into positive territory. Okay. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the BRIC countries. So that's kind of the snapshot on the market. I think the big news is the reading we're getting on the short-term trading index is definitely got to be raising a flag that you've got to sit back and say, okay, I need to keep that in the back of your mind as we're talking about trades and things like that here. Brazil. Okay, so the week ago was the 10th, and so it's slightly up over the last week. We dipped down and rallied the last 2 days. It's getting a little moving average cross, but it could be nothing more than this. I mean, we'll see. I haven't done any kind of Elliott wave analysis of Brazil. It's still in a nice little uptrend. That uptrend could be ending. It's definitely getting divergence in here. This move is not confirmed by the indicator there on the RSI, which is the one I seem to rely on most heavily. Okay, if we go to Russia, the MISEX index, again, this is kind of sideways consolidation, not confirming this move right in here. And it sold off today. And it looks like some kind of sideways consolidation over the last couple of weeks. Not sure what else to read into it other than this big formation here is a potential. And I wonder if I do a parallel trend line in here, I can grab it and put it at the top of the left shoulder, and it's right in there. Okay, so when you look at that and say, okay, where is the potential right shoulder? It's right in there, that dotted line. So this could be forming a right shoulder, but it's going to need to start breaking down and to confirm that. The next one is India. Nifty 50 index. Now it's been pulling back here over the last week. I'm kind of wondering whether or not this is a fifth wave. Boy, those bars are pretty tiny, but you can almost count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up in here. This may be a fifth, little eye move in here, and this could be starting a pullback. But still in a very nice uptrend. And last but not least, Shanghai Composite. Okay, yesterday was a huge down day, and everybody talked about how it was like one of the biggest down days in quite a while. I can't remember. Everybody loves to, especially the news guys love to, have their data people feed them with, how long ago was it? 4 months, 6 months, whatever. As if it's not going to make a hill of beans in terms of, how long it's been. What matters is what's it doing. It's a big down bar, but we bounced back today. Okay. And part of that is because and I talk about this in the post, the funding or the funds that are being injected into the big top 5 banks within the country to inject liquidity into the system, into the economy, because of the indicators that came out on the weekend that we talked about. So this is helping it. Now, the real question is, if we are completing a third intermediate wave in here, what kind of fourth wave correction are we getting? We could be getting more of a correction. We could be getting more to the downside here or sideways. If typically the fourth wave is a little more shallow, let's take a look at retracement of, let's say, it's hard to tell. Let's say that the third wave stopped there. If that's the case, it hasn't even come close to 23%, which is typically the shallow retracement reading. And if it was up in here, it's a little bit closer, but still not. So it's probably got more to go on the correction side, and a lot of times it'll correct back into the middle of the fourth wave, of the prior fourth wave in the prior move. So we'll have to watch and see what other kind of stimulus comes out of it. This is the wave count I've got at this time. If all of a sudden it does something different, then we'd have to adjust. But okay, and I'm not doing South Africa. I just can't get excited about South Africa, honest. I just don't know anything about the market down there and don't know about any stocks that I'm tracking. So I'm going to stick with Brazil, Russia, India, and China for now, unless something changes there dramatically. Okay, so now that's it for the BRIC countries. And I'm going to move, let's take a look at BIDU. BIDU is, again, we're in a fifth intermediate wave up, and now I'm calling this a third minor wave. It just looked, nice, like a third wave. It acted in here the way it's acting. So I think we're in some kind of fourth minor wave here. Now, the real question is, what is it doing? And it's really kind of hard to tell. It could be an A, B, C type thing. But I'm just going to have to watch now. We're getting a close above the 10 here, but the 10's, it's kind of sideways consolidation right now. And I wish there was more of a, nice little pivot or something to be able to say, but, in terms of where I think BIDU's looking, what it's doing, it looks like it's in doing a fourth correction. Now, let's do a retracement, see what it's doing in terms of retracing. Again, we're looking at just the third wave, okay? And it has retraced 23%. Hasn't gone down to 38. Typically, it'll do 38, but after a big third wave move, sometimes it'll be shallower and be 23.8%. So It may have corrected as much as it needs to, and we'll have to watch to see whether or not we continue to get a push above up in here. The channel is this, dark black line. We zoom back out of this thing. You see what we're looking at, a fourth primary here, so we're in a fifth primary, and so we'd be looking for the fifth wave somewhere up in here. And that's our best picture on BIDU. Let's take a look at the next one is Jinko Solar. And Jinko hasn't changed a whole lot in a week. It's just pushing sideways. I think we've got one intermediate wave up. I talked about this a week ago. And really, it's just chopping sideways right now. I expect more of a correction back than that. Again, if this is wave 1, I'm expecting wave 2 to at least correct 50% to 61.8%. Now, it doesn't always do that, but this hasn't even done that, isn't even close to that yet. Let's see. Probably about 33% or something like that, if I had to guess. It's in here. It hasn't done 38, hasn't done 50. So I think that may have more to correct. And the next one is KNDI Technologies. Now, KNDI is one I'm waiting on in here because I think it may have, and this was a week ago, okay? So here's what it's done since the week. It's just traded inside this bar, okay? So high and low of last Wednesday, and it's done nothing but chop sideways since since that time. So I'm still leaving this count. I still think this may have been an ABC correction in here. And we're going to have to look to see for it to start to trade up and get above the, if it breaks this low, then something else is going on and maybe something more extensive. So right now we're just, kind of watching and to wait for it to tell us it wants to move to the high side. Right now it hasn't told us. And the next one is SINA. And what? SINA it is struggling down in here. This sideways overlapping waves chop. I tried to have a wave count, tried to say 1, 2, but now I'm just kind of wondering. And the main reason is because of this trend line break. You look at this trend line in here, this snapback that it did to the trend line, and then it reversed back down to the downside. It's just not acting like it wants to move up. And all the trend lines, I mean, the moving averages are aligned negatively. 10 below the 21, below the 55. And granted, there's a lot of error between the 55 and the 233-day moving average. So, that's one thing that says, well, yeah, and, we had a lot of air here. It didn't fill the air yet. But right now, this looks kind of a negative picture to me, which makes this whole scenario of this being a wave 2 and this being the bottom of it, it makes it suspect in my mind. So, all right, that's it for tonight. That's the 4 Chinese. I'll be back tomorrow looking at Chihu, Melco Crown, and Yoku Tudu as an update video I'll put out sometime tomorrow, probably in the morning. And again, I'll tweet it. My Twitter handle is @JoeHenches. And I'll let you know when I put that out there. So that'll be out for tomorrow. And I know I've got another one I usually do on Friday. So, all right, this has been Joe for Beyond the Chart. If you felt like the video was helpful, please share it on social media. And if you're not a subscriber, subscribe. It's first name and email, and you'll be good to go. You can download the PDF I've got for you. Boy, I should move that. There you go. And you'll get access to the Trade Ideas webpage. So. All right, have a great Thursday, Friday, everyone. We'll talk to you on Saturday.